Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Now in the past you may have seen me review this or this, but today I'm reviewing this, and this one's quite heavy. So let's set it down, bust open the box, and find out what's inside. Today we're going to be talking about Bluetti. Now before we get started with this box, however, there was another box that came in, and well, we'll talk about both of these together. But first, let me show you how it showed up.
You know how we always talk about packaging matters? This is why. This came in a plastic outer sleeve, but this is what the box looked like when it arrived at my house.
I think you can see now why I handle my reviews the way that I do. I like to have a very common sense approach, and when things arrive kind of weird, I like to tell you guys. But with that said, we're going to unbox these. I'm going to tell you about the specs, the features, and what exactly we're going to be doing with this. And then also I'm going to give you a few comparisons to those earlier units so you can kind of see the difference between not only what's in this big box, but also those, just in case you're looking for a power station of some kind. And as always, guys, don't ever feel pressured just based on what I'm doing, because I do these reviews so that we can see what exactly these power stations are about, what kind of features that they have, will they work for van life, will they work for preparedness, and everything in between. And I do this so that you guys don't have to, and so you can have a better understanding of what's available. Now, for those of you who are interested, while I'm cutting into this packaging, let's talk about Bluetti. Bluetti was originally founded in 2019, and the guys who founded Bluetti are actually two people who had worked in energy for a very long time. They wanted to base their operations out of Nevada, and so thus we have Bluetti the brand. And they have a variety of different kinds of things that you can use along the way, from power stations and solar panels to a few other interesting things. If you have the opportunity, just go scroll around on their website, and as you can see, there's lots of stuff on here for you to kind of explore. Now, amongst these boxes, the first one, the smaller box, is actually something kind of new that I'm very intrigued by. This is called the Charger 1, and it's something that's a DC to DC unit. So you can actually use this in a kind of interesting way. Now, the reason why I was most interested in this is something that my dad had mentioned for his larger rig. Now, as most of you guys know, I have a 2020 MV200 and I have a 100,000 mile warranty that is dependent on me not doing anything at all to my electrical system. However, my dad has a big old shuttle bus that he's starting to build out, and that thing does not have the same warranty. So I thought this might work really, really well for him. And the reason why is because you can do DC to DC charging directly off of your alternator. But first, I thought we could look at a few things with this, including the size. You'll notice that I have a smaller hand, and this is just about the size of the palm of my hand, so not super, super big. Now on this side, you'll notice there's a couple of different input areas on this side, and then on the opposite side, they have very clearly marked the output. So this makes it very user-friendly. It's very well marked. It's super lightweight, so it's not gonna be massively bulky. And then there's a couple of other things, including this guy up here. I'm going to have a lot of reading to do about this, but again, this is specifically something that you can use in your vehicle to charge DC to DC, and I thought of Dad with this one. This is going to be so good for his shuttle, and so I'm very excited about being able to show you this installed later on.
Also, we have this little box, and I believe this is going to be the hardware and attachments. It is. So this is what comes in the box, in addition to some hardware, some more hardware, and then of course the book. It's in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave these things together, and again, I'll be showing you these a little bit more whenever Dad installs this, but overall this is looking pretty nice.
Now, as always, because I like to keep it 100 and also tell you exactly what I need to use these things for, I always use power stations in my van for a variety of different things. So a power station in my van needs to be able to do the following. I need to be able to charge small devices. I need to be able to recharge batteries. I need to be able to use cooking devices. I need to be able to plug my fridge into it. I need to be able to power my MacBook. That's one of the biggest things. And then I also need to be able to use this for auxiliary things such as lights and stuff like that. Along the way also, though, I have a new category of things that I look at within every power station. Can it power my home in some capacity if there is a natural disaster. So what I'm looking for is the ability to charge fans, charge lights, again, power a refrigerator. I need it to be able to hook up to a solar panel and be able to charge no matter where I am, what I'm doing, or what's going on in the world. So all of those things are very important, and with that, it is now time. Okay, dusty box time. Now again, I'm very eager to get this one out and kind of go exploring with it. So it's going to be in my adventure kit for sure. Oh, on this next trip. Here it is though. This is the AC70 portable power station by Bluetti. And again, nice box inside the box to protect it. And inside we go, and it looks like there might be yet another box. There is. This is going to probably be our cords, our guide, and everything like that. So I'm going to get that out and set it to the side. And then we have the book right under that. We'll set that here as well. And then we have this nice big foam insulation, which if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know that I always pay attention to how something is packed, because if they want to protect it, they will pack it well. And Bluetti definitely is packing this well. But then also the power station itself is wrapped in its own plastic so that it keeps it from getting scuffed up or scratched. So we can see it in here, and oh, this is looking different than the others. Hang on, let me grab this out and we'll look at it closer. Ooh, this is nice. This is very nice. So it is a little bit larger than the other two. I'll be showing you a comparison in just a few moments. It has a handle in the back, and it's a pretty deep handle, so you could get even a hefty hand in there. And then otherwise, it is flat on the top, which I do prefer. And they have plug covers. Yes! Now, paperwork, they have two different things in here. We have the actual user manual, and I believe, if I'm correct, this is probably the warranty information. Now, on these, that's one of the nicer things about the bigger brands of power stations is typically they do offer some kind of warranty. And with this one, all you have to do is go in and fill out the warranty policy with the numbers and things like that. Makes it a lot easier. But then it says here that you can have different kinds of warranty based on the unit. So the main unit itself is good for 60 months after you send this in. A solar panel is 12 months, and accessories are also 12 months. The AC70 portable power station is considered to be the ultimate travel companion, and with a 1,000-watt pure sine wave inverter and 768 watt-hour lithium iron phosphate battery, it has ample power for most everything that you could need. It does have a turbocharging technology, which you can enjoy, with 80% charge being able to be attained in just 45 minutes, and a full charge can be attained in an hour and a half. The power station weighs 22.5 pounds and is 12.4 inches by 8.2 inches by 10.1 inches. But that's just the beginning. This book is great because it has illustrations in it, so you can carry this in your glove compartment and just have it with you to make it a lot easier. That's one of the things I personally like to do anytime I'm getting used to a new power unit, just in case there's some random thing that pops up on the screen, I'll better understand it. And so I definitely encourage you to do that. But I wanted to show you this one particular page, which talks a little bit more about the display screen. This right here is the LCD screen, and notice that it has a series of numbers kind of around and throughout, and it has a key for each one of these, so you can better understand what each of these are, including that it has a high temperature alert and also a fault alert or an overcurrent or an overload alert. All that display on the screen so that you can better troubleshoot if you do have an issue. Now, I've tested a lot of units, and not a lot of them have that pops up on the screen and helps you to understand what is going on if something is wrong. So inside we go, and it looks as though we have our standard plug that goes into our wall socket and then plugs into the unit. We also have our Anderson plug right here, which goes into a DC, which is great for charging while driving. And then we have our solar connector right here that has the male and female adapter ends that can go directly into my solar panel on the roof or into a solar panel that's portable, and then plugs into the front of the station with the Anderson plug. Additionally, there is this, which actually goes into this spot that we were looking at right here. I'm not exactly sure what it does yet. I'm going to read about it. This is the first power station that I have used that has had this. Now, with that said, we're going to pull back our little door, plug it into its place, and then this end is going to go into the wall. Oh, here we go. And again, I like to test things out before I take them on the road just so I can see how they're going to function. I always encourage you guys to do that if you can. instantly we start seeing it pulling off of the wall. And so we're starting out at 58%. We're going to let it just keep on going to see if it builds. But right now it's starting off pulling about 441 watts, and that's directly from my home. So we'll give it a little bit of time to see if it kicks in and goes up a little bit more, but we'll keep watching it. And currently it is 1:51 in the afternoon when we're starting this test. Now I am going to go ahead and charge this thing up to 100% just to see what happens and how long it takes. So 1:51 is when we're starting out. In the meantime, I wanted to show you something else I found very fascinating about the cords. They do have caution tags on them. It tells you how to make sure these are properly working, and it shows you the correct and incorrect way to use these. Now, additionally, in the book, they do have a full chapter just about charging, different ways, and which cord you should use, how you can plug it in. Again, there are graphics on each of these so you can see how it works. With that said, we are now up to 68%. It's pretty consistently pulling about 440 to 442 watts off the wall. And you can see it is only 203. I am so excited about the testing part of this because I'm going to test this with a couple things, including my new refrigerator, which I'm going to be taking with me on my upcoming journey. Okay, you can see here, this is the EB3A and the EB55. Now, the very first one that I tested out was this one right here. And this one right here was kind of a hit or miss for me. I'm just going to be very honest in this review. This one I had a few glitches with. And I don't believe that it is standard to the Bluetti. I think it was just this particular power station had a few things that it needed to be worked out. But it did have a very nice operating system. It was just a little harder to charge because of the converter that they used. And then they brought out this one. This one solved all of the previous issues. They changed the charging device on it. And then in doing so, they also addressed a few additional things. This is one of my favorite smaller power units that I use, and I absolutely love this one. This one has a charger on the top. This one does too. Now the new unit does not have the top charger. Now I will say this, it's very rare for me to actually use the top charger because of my phone case, so this is not a deal breaker for me. This one had two different sets of AC outputs. Realistically, I never used these because most of the things that I plugged in had 3 prongs, including my laptop and other things. On this one, they discontinued the 2 additional plugs, and this actually worked way better. And on the new one, of course, we have 2 regular AC plugs. Additionally, on this one, we have 2 Type-Cs and 2 USB Type-As. On this particular unit, they had 2 Type-As and 1 Type-C, and on this one they had 1 Type-C and 4 Type-As. Now on this one it had a front-facing light, very small, very flashlight-like, versus this one where it had a big light on the back. This one has no light. So there's no light on this one whatsoever. And normally I would say, oh, that's so sad that they discontinued it, but realistically, I'm fine with this. I like the layout of this one. I like that everything is a little bit higher up also, because that's going to be easier to plug in versus having a cord down here at floor level. So that's very nice. And those are all just kind of the spec differences, but also the screen difference is huge with the ease of the button use on these. It's just right here. It's just a click. You can see it fully illuminated. And by the way, we're at 73% and it's only been 7 additional minutes. But also, whenever you would power on a section, there would be just a light that would pop up, and then you could see it on the screen, but the light would pop up on the individual item. Now, this style was not too bad because you can see everything that is included in that button in this little box. However, at nighttime, whenever you're just looking at this, it's a little bit different of a scenario. Same thing with this one. It just powers on, and you can see they actually have the battery portion here. Now, going between these, this one went in 20% blocks. And so if you are at 21%, it's going to still show that you are at 40% because it's within that tile, because it's technically over 20, but it's definitely under 60. But this one corrected that issue and told you an exact amount of percentage. Now, that was a big step up in my opinion. However, This step up right here, it tells you the exact percentage just the same, but it also gives you some different input-output information, which makes it far superior in way of display. I know guys, there's a lot of information with this, but that's why I wanted to show you the comparison of the three and kind of the evolution. I think one of the nice things about Bluetti over time has been that they have listened to the feedback of the various people that they're having review their items, and also from the users who are using their items. And with that, because of that, they have made changes that have made them more user-friendly, and I appreciate that a lot. Okay, it's 2:32, and we are 97% charged. This is definitely efficient when it comes to the charging. But with that said, I'm going to round up a couple things that we can slap on here to kind of see how it works, starting with these. Of course, this one right here will work. And then I have a surprise for you guys. We're going to see if this will work. Now, are most of these things going to be in someone's van? Absolutely not. But do they pull differing amounts of power? Yes. And that's why I want to show them kind of to you, because some of these things are very unique. It just goes to show that a power station can be used not only for van life or preparedness, but for other stuff too. In fact, I took one of my power stations up to the school and helped my mom out with a project because she needed to be able to run a projector. She also needed something that could power a giant projection blow-up screen. And so that was how we were able to do it, through portable power. So we're at 99%, one more percent, and we'll get started with this party. Started with the party. It's gonna be super fun, guys. I think that's what is the best part about doing these kind of reviews is, again, I'm not only showing you guys what you can use in one space, but something that you could use across the board in a variety of different ways. And I think that that's the best part about portability. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave the AC and the DC on, and you'll notice the screen is completely clear so that nothing is currently drawing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my bunny light to the DC. You can see that one instantly turns on, but I'm also going to plug in something to the AC. We're gonna plug our headphones in just to see what happens when I do that. Now, unsurprising, those are all much more minimal drawing items. So the real test is gonna be when I plug in one of these bigger drawing items. Oh, just like that. There we go. It's finally picking up. It takes it a minute to regulate what's coming out, I think. And so we're pulling about 5 watts for all 3 of those items. That is not bad. In the meantime, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to change this over, because we can, to this section right here so it can charge. I'm going to unplug this, and notice we just changed over to 7 watts there. So it's reading that things are fluctuating as we're moving things around. So the drill goes in, and for this one I want to brace it just a little bit as I push it in. Now, what does that power look like coming off though? Here we go. There we go. AC is pulling 116. 218. And then it comes right back down. Okay, we are in business. You can see it just continues to fluctuate based on how much power I'm needing. Now, I'm going to show you something else. In this middle section, you can see how many hours of use this could get, basically using the things that are already plugged in. You can see the 34.5 hours, that's with everything plugged in, but watch the number change as I run the drill. Do you see that? See how it moves and then it returns back to the 34.5 because we didn't really use enough to pull a full watt off. But this is very helpful to note. So if you were looking at that number, that's like 4.5 hours, which means for 4.5 hours, I could use this without having to plug into any additional power, and I could have a drill, which means I could hang curtains, I could hang wall boards, I could do just about anything at a job site that requires a drill for 4.5 hours before having to recharge. But now, let's try something more niche. Let's try this globe. I am so excited about this one because this just proves that you could use this for other things. Like, for example, a science fair. If you have a kiddo who's needing to be in a science fair and they need something electrical and they don't have the ability to run a cord, they can use one of these. Does it work? Yes, it works. Oh, that's so cool. So let's just conduct some electricity here. Ooh, look at that. Okay, that's pretty fun, but how much power is it using is the question. Notice here it's 15 watts, and then whenever I touch it, it moves up to 20 to 22 watts. So I could run this one light, this one coil, for 17.6 hours, in addition to charging my headphones, charging potentially the toast, and using this other light. So I think you can see this is clearly a thing that can be very versatile. I know some of these things are very weird scenarios, and they are scenarios more than likely you will not be using. However, I just wanted to show how many things these things truly can be used for and approximately what they pull. A lot of times we think of the big stuff like the heaters, the electric blankets, the refrigerators, the computers, and stuff like that. But realistically, it's much bigger than just that. You can use it for everything that you can think of, basically, as long as it is under a certain amount of draw, like we talked about before. And understanding that, you can kind of go into, okay, well, what could I really use this for? If you're out in the middle of the woods and you need to tighten your solar panel on the top of your van, guess what? You can plug and play with a drill, no problem, and be able to zip, zip in a matter of seconds versus having to sit there and hand wrench something down. If you are having a struggle bus and you just don't feel like you're up to it today and you need to run a fan all day, guess what? A fan that has a USB is going to plug in, or one that uses a 12 volt, and you're going to stay cool much longer. And so knowing that the common sense approach to testing things is just to try out whatever you can, because who knows, you never know what you'll actually need these for. It's kind of a cool thing, and that's why I do these reviews for you guys. So with that said, we're going to get this thing plugged in and see what happens next. Okay, we have it plugged in. Obviously, the temperatures are going to be coming down. I have it set at 24 and 41. We can hear that this compressor is turning on because it's starting to cool. And it is, in fact, reflecting that right here as well. It's pulling down 45 watts. Now, on this, it says that it could run for 12.6 consistent hours of this having to be on. Now, the thing that you're going to notice in just a few minutes is after this has turned on and gotten to the coolness of where it's supposed to be, this number will reduce and this number will go up. Anytime someone asks me about what size battery that they should get or what size power station unit that they should get, I always say if you're wanting to run a refrigerator, you need at least 1,000 watts. And it's not because the fridge is going to pull all of that at once, but because your fridge has to be constantly plugged in, it is going to pull that over time. Now, whenever you're moving from cold climates to warm climates, the warm climates are definitely going to demand a lot more. During the cold climates, if it's getting below freezing at night, you can pretty much turn off your fridge and it'll just hold that cool in. However, at nighttime versus daytime, there could be a big drastic swing. I came over to check. It's at 35 and 41, so not quite where we need it to be. The compressor is still on, but you can see it's still dropping. But more importantly, we have only lost 4% of the battery. We're now pulling 37%, and it is at 14.1. And so overall, it's doing very, very well handling the load of the refrigerator. So it is currently 3:22, and I am going to set a timer. I'm gonna have to move this out to squeeze back here, but in 30 minutes I'll come back and check it to see where we're at. Again, we're at 32, 41, and 96%. This thing is great. I think it's gonna work out really well. Can't wait to put it in the van. Okay, our time is up. We have gotten down to 24 and 41, and now it is the big reveal. 94%. Still going to fluctuate back and forth, but I think you could see that this would easily run pretty much anything that you would need on the road or for your preparedness, and it's going to work out really well. Remember, guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. Check out the link below. Just look through, see if this meets your specs. I hope that the infographics were a little bit more helpful on learning the size, the capacity, and all of those things, and I'll be showing you more of this in the future. I can't wait. And with that said, bye.